Moves that we concur. Chair recognizes Representative Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the Peterborough Zoning Board and somebody who is generally against what is a coordinated effort to change the zoning laws and the way housing is built in this state. But on this legislation here today, I am in favor of concurrence and the legislation itself. HB457 deals with a municipal ordinance which is colloquially known as the 3 unrelated rule, which restricts a landlord's ability to sell a property based off of the amount of bedrooms that are in that property, and says to that person who's selling that house, oh, you got a house with a certain amount of bedrooms, single-family home, that's great, but you're not allowed to have more than 3 people unrelated living in that same house. Now, what is the effect of that type of ordinance? The effect of that type of ordinance is not just on students, which is what the green sheet for the NHMA and the opposition to this bill will talk about, but it is also about veterans, disabled veterans who choose to live with each other and may not have the income or the ability to afford their own single-family house, but would have the ability to pool together and live together if the home was available. And there are landlords out there who would like their homes to be available for this reason and others, but cannot based off of the ordinance that exists in at least 8 of the towns here in the state of New Hampshire. Mr. Speaker, we do have a housing crisis here in this state. We must deal with the housing issue somehow. And I think when we put in place ordinances which say to a landlord, all right, you have a certain amount of people, now you can't have over that amount of people in this house, that restricts our housing stock and our ability to have an open housing stock. For what would take 5 houses now takes 10, because those people whom would be living together, the disabled veterans, or the workers in the town, the people who are serving in the restaurants. I grew up as a server. My mother has served in every restaurant in my local area, and I've served in just about every. And I can tell you, as somebody who knows a lot of those servers and who, those servers, they're having a hard time finding houses right now. And what can we do? We can have them pool their housing together and live together, but they can't do that right now because they're not blood related. But this legislation would change that and allow people to live together in the situation that they need to live in. Not everybody can afford a single-family home, and there are cases in which roommate situations or renting together is the solution to the housing crisis. So, Mr. Speaker, this isn't about frat houses or boarding rooms. Those types of houses are handled in a separate section of the fire code and wouldn't be covered under this piece of legislation. This legislation is about the unrelated people who would like to live together because they can't afford the cost of living and the cost of housing today, who cannot, who would be living together if we concur with what the Senate has amended this legislation to be. Finally, Mr. Speaker, for those who say that this legislation isn't ready for prime time, this legislation was worked through in the last biennium and then worked through again very hard in this biennium to get it to the point where it has passed our body and is past the other side of the body on the other side of the wall. And right now we are the last final obstacle to these people being able to live together in their homes where they should be able to. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask my friends on the House floor to concur with this legislation so that we may open up the housing stock here in the state of New Hampshire and make sure that working people here in this state who'd like to live together, who'd like to work in our businesses and live in our schools, have the ability to do that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please concur.
Does the member yield to a question?
Always.
Member yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague. I still am a little confused on this bill because if you have a three-bedroom house, you have a three-bedroom septic system. Could this bill actually allow potentially 8 people in a home, which would overtax the septic system based on the language? Thank you. I heard that yes.
I hear people answering for me behind me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be honest. The answer is yes. But a landlord would not, it's up to the landlord ultimately who they want to have in their house. And so the answer to your question is yes. And so I might not get your vote, Mr. Flanagan. But I do think that landlords should have the ability to say that this is how many people that we have in our house. And the follow-up that I would have, Mr. Flanagan, is currently...
Representative Flanagan.
No, we don't use names.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Clerk. That was a flub on my part. Shouldn't have used your name.
Okay.
My friend from Hollis, Mason. Oh, geez.
Just get back to the question.
Currently, a landlord, if there are 8 people in a family, could sell that house to 8 people. If they're all related, there's no restriction for how many people could be in that house. So you could have as many people as could fit in that house if they're all related. So if you have a lot of kids, and if you're getting busy in the bedroom, then you could have a lot of those people in the house. But if you're unrelated and you're a disabled veteran, it doesn't work out for you. I think that's a dichotomy that doesn't work.
Just one quick follow-up, Mr. Speaker.
Does the member yield to a further question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank my friend from Peterborough. So I get the whole idea of, you know, if I've been busy in the bedroom, but at the same token, if it's not family related and they're really working that septic system and I have my well with the setbacks that are required, could it not, the effluent, get into my well because of the overuse of that septic system and impact me as a neighbor?
I think that's potentially a reasonable concern, maybe in a specific hypothetical situation, but my friend from Mason, I'd say that what I said before applies. You could have infinite amount of people in the house if they all still live together. So while the septic and water systems in our state are a problem,
yes,
I think they're a separate issue from what we're dealing with here in this
That's
legislation.
I thank my colleague.
And thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Perez.